Now that we have looked at Peg and L's role in self-regulation, let's consider the role of you, the members. You'll recall that you have a critical role as one of the legs in our three-legged stool example. Fundamentally, under a model of self-regulation, the first role of Peg NL members is identical to that of Peg NL, to ensure only competent, qualified, and ethical people practice in the province. While this is in the best interest of the public, it also happens to be in the best interest of the membership. Ensuring only competent, qualified, and ethical people practice the professions helps instill public confidence and respect for the professions, which in turn helps members gain the respect they deserve. The second role of members, and another component of ensuring public confidence and respect, is making sure the strength of the restricted title is not watered down through misuse. We recently came across an ad for a subsea engineer that had a minimum requirement of a grade 12 education. When we dug a little deeper, we found out the ad was for a mechanic who works on drill rigs. This is not about trying to be elitist or exclusive or minimizing the roles of others. It is about ensuring the public is protected and not misled into believing someone is a professional engineer or a professional geoscientist when they are not. With respect to the ad, it is also about ensuring the public is not misled into believing that engineers only require a grade 12 education. The consequences of a member of the public engaging a person they believe to be a member of the professions, due solely to their title, could have severe consequences. The third role of members, and I'll give you some background on this momentarily, is to understand that PEG NL is not a membership organization. We are a regulator. For those of you not familiar with PEG NL's history, PEG NL has, in the past, operated as a combination of professional regulator and membership organization. As a membership organization, the expectation was that PEG NL would, as member organizations do, look after the interests of its members. Some members still expect this. We get asked things like, "What has PEG NL done for me lately?" Or, "Why should I pay dues if I get no benefits?" Or, "Why doesn't PEG NL take a stand on Muskrat Falls or come out in support of the oil and gas industry when so many of our members are involved?" And the list can go on. While these may be things a membership organization should address, they are not issues a professional regulator should address. You may wonder what precipitated the change. The answer is the Engineers and Geoscientists Act, 2008. When the updated act came into force on July 1st, 2009, which was a long time ago, PEG NL ceased to be a combined membership organization and a regulator, and became strictly a regulator of the professions. The role of any professional regulator is primarily the first two bullet points on this slide. Self-regulation exists for the protection of the public and to serve the public interest, not to serve the interests and needs of its members. Finally, your role is to ensure that you always act professionally and hold your fellow members to the same level of professionalism. So, now that you understand your role in self-regulation, how can you as a member help fulfill that role? We mentioned earlier that a partnership must exist between the regulator, its professional members, and its permit holders in a properly functioning self-regulating environment. Let's look at why PEG NL, as the regulator, needs the members' help as part of that partnership. Whenever there is an incident involving engineering or geoscience, people, often members, may ask, "What is PEG NL doing about this?" Or, "Shouldn't PEG NL be looking into this?" In some cases, the incident is worthy of PEG NL's attention. However, two things may hinder our involvement. The first one is PEG NL may not be aware of the issue. With more than 4,000 active professional members and over 600 permit holders, 40% of whom are based outside NL, our regulatory staff cannot be aware of the practice details of all its members. It is important that our members, who are close to and familiar with most of the professional work undertaken, notify us if there are issues that need to be addressed by PEG NL. These can include a potential competency problem or an ethical or professionalism issue. A self-regulatory framework works more effectively if members are partners in the process. The second possible hindrance, as mentioned earlier in the discipline section, is that PEG NL has no regulatory power to investigate an engineering or geoscience issue or failure without a signed written allegation of conduct deserving of sanction against a member or a permit holder. While some of our allegations come from members of the public in general may not possess the insight and knowledge necessary to assess the competency of practice. Professional members are closer to the action on a daily basis, and they must play an integral role in identifying and reporting issues. It is important that professionals set high standards for themselves, but they should also watch that others are meeting those high standards. Admittedly, it may be very difficult to report potential breaches of a colleague. However, ensuring that we govern in the public interest depends on this. Earlier in the presentation, we talked about how engineers and geoscientists may not have realized they were entering into public service when they joined the profession. When it comes to how a professional member can help in self-regulation, they must understand that service of the public means that the interest of the public and the potential impacts of your work on the public must take precedent over your own self-interest. For the partnership to work and self-regulation to be maintained, questions of what PEG NL does for the members or what the members get for their fees must be replaced with: how can I contribute to the high standing of my profession? How can I ensure other professionals are duly licensed and practicing competently, ethically, and professionally? And how can I best protect the public interest? All professional members have a shared responsibility to report anyone who is putting their own interests above the public interest and not fulfilling their obligations under the self-regulating model. Members must also understand competent and ethical practice is an area where the potential consequences of not addressing a matter can be severe. How would you feel if you did not address an obvious software safety system flaw and there was a subsequent failure? The Boeing 737 MAX 8 failures are a perfect example of that. All professional members are obligated under subsection 1G of the Code of Ethics bylaw to report to their association or other appropriate agencies any illegal or unethical engineering or geoscience decisions or practices by engineers, geoscientists, or others. At the same time, you are also obligated under subsection 1E of that same bylaw to conduct yourself with equity, fairness, courtesy, and good faith toward others. The best approach in any encounter where ethical or competency breaches are suspected is to fulfill your fairness and respect duty first by raising your concerns with the professional member and giving them the opportunity to correct any unethical behavior or allay any competency concerns. If the professional member does not acknowledge and self-correct, you have a professional obligation to report. This is a key founding principle of self-regulation. The final area we will look at is how members can assist in compliance, which is generally simpler to deal with. The first thing that all professional members can do is advise their own employers of the restrictions on protected titles and ensure that only licensed professional members are using them. Outside your organization, you should be looking for any email signatures or job titles that may reveal an improper title use. If you suspect someone is not registered with PEG NL but is using a restricted title, you can check our online register or simply forward your concern to PEG NL. You can also advise PEG NL if you encounter ads for engineering or geoscience positions that do not list registration with PEG NL as a requirement. This is a mandatory requirement of these positions, not an option. Finally, if you have colleagues or acquaintances who are practicing but not registered, advise them of the broad definition you learned earlier, and let them know if you think their activities fall within the definition. You can also contact PEG NL for this issue and we will follow up. Unlike discipline cases where a signed allegation is required, anonymous reporting of compliance issues is accepted under our legislation. Before we move on to the permit holder's role, let's do a quick check of your understanding of your role. Please take a minute to read the scenario, select what you believe to be the appropriate answer, and then click Next. The correct answer is B. Advise HR that the job title must be changed. You should let HR or whoever assigned the title know that title use is restricted by provincial law, as the Engineers and Geoscientists Act 2008 is enacted under provincial legislation. Answer D is not incorrect if your approach within your company does not work. PEG NL is more than willing to take it on. However, you should attempt to resolve it internally first. Please click Submit Answers on the next screen to complete this section, and then click on the next section to continue.